This is our all-new country sourdough. It's made primarily of our own stone-milled flour. We got all the way up to 70% in this loaf, which is the most we've ever achieved. It means as a bakery, we're milling base flours now, growing local grains, extending those partnerships. Really proud of this one. It's available at all the bakeries daily. So we're shaping the all-new Proof Country sourdough. It's nice to actually build a product that is the largest amount of house-milled flour we've put in this bread ever, and the shaping team is saying that it's actually nice to shape rather than hard to shape. Typically, we've been working in the other direction in the last few years where the doughs have been getting harder to shape. So this is one of my first times working with it since it's officially on the menu and not in trial mode anymore. But we're really happy with this result. It's I think nothing short of a breakthrough for us, where 70% of the flour is proof flour mill, which means we're successfully building a base flour in this bread. The majority of it is what we're milling ourselves. So the big change is a new variety of wheat that we're growing locally and milling. It's joining the heritage grains that we're milling. It's a modern variety, our hard red spring, but being able to mill it on the stone mill and create that flour, having it come from a local farmer growing at beyond organic standards, and building this very special flour blend on our stone mill is something new to this year and will be a big focus. What sort of comes next from this is actually sharing this flour blend, which it's not just one wheat. It's not akin to just buying some flour at the store. This is really a blend that's great at making a country sourdough. It's several different wheat strains, most of which we're milling in-house. We have that local wheat I was describing, the hard red spring, at the base. We then still have a huge amount of heritage grains in the dough. The Rouge de Bordeaux, which we've talked about in the past, is still there. We also added white Sonora and Coruscant in smaller amounts as kind of a Southwest flavor note and kind of a proof bread flavor note. These are grains that we're known for milling and making into bread. And a country sourdough is really kind of like meant to be this master blend of what we offer. So when you sort of layer in the different grains, and then the fact that our country bread here is made with two different sourdough starters, both our wheat and our rye starter. The rye starter is derived of house milled rye flour. So all in all, this is really one of the most hyper local sourdoughs I've ever eaten. And we're now making it in the thousands at scale, which I think it just goes to show like the initiative of milling our own flour. It's a little by little progressive initiative that deepens each year, and this year's one of those years where we made a lot of progress, and I think the mill is at the root of it, and then of course like the skill that we've been building in this whole team. Some of the other doughs we work on aren't easy, and so I guess it was a pleasant surprise to me when this dough finally scaled up that we've gotten multiple reports from this team saying, oh, it's actually like fun to shape, which Our country sourdough in the past was fun to shape, but kind of the last iteration was a little bit stickier and harder to work with. The Coruscant's a little stickier, harder to work with, so we don't always get the pleasure of kind of like easy to shape. So that should also translate to the flour blend, you know, getting into your hands, being hopefully, you know, nice to work with in the breads you make. I think we're pretty ambitious on the hydration here versus what, you know, you need to do at home. Where are we at, like 80s?
We're in the 80s, yeah, the early 80s.
And that's higher than last year's country, right?
It is a little higher than
I find that the more Arizona grains in the dough, it seems to make us push the hydration of the dough up. So, you know, it's, I don't know if that's anecdotal or, I mean, it is, that's just my observation, but it seems like that's been the case since the garage days. The higher the percentage of Arizona grains, the higher the hydration seems to need to go. This video alone will save you tens of thousands of dollars. We're going to talk a little bit about bakery layout, maximizing the holidays. Refrigeration is also extraordinarily expensive. What's going to happen when you're done with your mix? Task switching is an efficiency killer, and organization is critical in all of this. We borrowed around $800,000. If we don't honor those commitments to these banking relationships, we have everything on the line. Our house, our bakery equipment. It's one thing to use other people's money to grow, it's another thing to use other people's money to survive. Why would you take the risk to build, say, $1 million bakery if you don't have $1 million of sales to support it? There's a much higher chance of failure because you have to pay the bills for that space. How do you transfer those sales logically into your production system so that your teams can be organized, that you can buy the right amount of ingredients perhaps a week before that order is placed? The more you leave up to chance, the harder it is to ever really get it right. I wish that it was only flour that I had to deal with. We store 280 different SKUs of items. Cleaner supply that we need for washing the floor. Maybe it's barrels of olives. As you scale, you need space to accommodate every single thing that you buy on a recurring basis. There's nothing worse than going through an entire build-out process, spending every last dollar that you have, or worse, that you borrowed in order to build out, only to learn that there's this extra $20,000 you have to spend here, or this extra $10,000 that you have to spend there. What I'm trying to do is point out the things that tripped me up in building my bakeries in hopes of saving you the headache of learning these things in the midst of construction and the actual money that you could save by knowing this up front. There's disruptions in business. There's things that will knock you out. If you're building a business that's completely dependent on you, what are you going to do in those moments? Is it just simply shut down? That isn't a viable answer. You should know what your goal is. For us, we're trying to build something that's still going to be around decades from now. And hopefully some of the insights will help you avoid some of the traps that we have fallen into. Skill-based roles can make or break everything that happens after the mix. Your role in running your business is to keep things in balance. Never putting yourself in a position where one account has so much of your operational bandwidth attached to it. In 1 week, we do more than we did in the entire year, 2017. Have the right people in the right seats. If you don't, make sure you're not just offering blind grace and expecting different results. Don't neglect this. Plan, plan, plan. And best of luck to you.